Welcome back to another episode of Obliterated Companion, and I am Peter. You guys, very excited for a interview with a cast member. Joining me is Kimi Rutledge, who plays Maya. How you doing, Kimi?
Good. How are you, Peter? Thanks for having
I'm
me.
good. Yeah, absolutely. We're like besties. We're besties.
We go back
Um, we go way back,
way back.
like what, 3 weeks? Heck
Yeah,
yeah,
three
yeah.
whole weeks.
So if anyone, follows us on social media, I had a really cool opportunity to meet Kimmy in person up in a sea town, as we call it. Do you guys call it sea town? Is it just like, are we too old now to say sea town?
None of us call it Seatown.
Like everybody outside of Seattle calls it sea town.
Yeah, yeah.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
Um, well, like I can't really ask you like what has the reception from the fans and family have been because the show hasn't come out yet at this point. So so we're gonna kind of focus on learning about you and obviously talking about Obliterated, but uh there's things that I definitely want to know in terms of like reaction, but the fan reaction isn't quite there yet. But what I can ask, I do know what you thought about the trailer because I did ask you that. But now, at this point, what do you think about the character posters? Like seeing yourself on a character poster, a poster with all the other cast members, but also a freaking billboard or billboards?
Crazy. I think for me it just feels surreal still because I feel relatively new to the industry. So all of this is brand new, really exciting, just yeah, absolutely novel territory for me. So I'm kind of in shock all the time that it's even happening. Like seeing myself on a poster is strange, but really
Yeah.
cool. Yeah,
So I'm only seeing the stuff that you're sharing on like on Instagram, but like
yeah,
what are, if any, like what are like phone calls or like are people tagging you on anything outside of Instagram that we're not seeing?
yeah. I mean, I've seen a poster in an Australian gym. I think they have some ads on buses at bus stops. Um, More billboards I haven't seen in person. A lot of people are sending me, you know how on Netflix it'll show if you leave it on standby, it just kind of cycles through shows.
Yeah.
People have been sending me the Obliterated coming November 30th, popping up on their TV. And yeah, I think soon there will be TV commercials. So people might reach out about that. But yeah, it's been cool to get people's pictures. They're like, I see,
I didn't
that's so
even think
cool.
about that, like on the TV too, but like the digital billboard or whatever Eugene shared. That
Yeah, on
that's
Sunset
yeah,
Boulevard. Yeah, that's a dream come true. That
yeah,
was insane to
that's
see.
wild. I
Yeah.
um I don't think I've seen anything in New York yet, but I know like in Times Square sometimes they have some of those buildings with the big signs and they'll have some like 3D type stuff. So I wonder if we'll get like an
Ooh,
explosion
that
soon,
would be cool. That
you
would be
know?
cool. We'll see.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just learned, and correct, I mean, my apologies if I pronounce it incorrectly. Kimiko is actually
Yeah.
your full name. Like, so Kimi is short for that. I just thought it was like, oh, interesting way to spell Kimi.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, Japanese name Kimiko. And when we moved to America, I just thought it would be easier to go by Kimmy. So I've been going by Kimmy my whole life.
Yeah. And so you were in you were born in Tokyo, lived
Yes.
in Japan up until you were about 5.
Yes. Correct.
And I understand you love Disney movies.
I grew up on a lot of Disney movies. Yeah. But I grew up on them being in Japanese. They would dub it Japanese over the original English. So I never really knew what was going on because they would play the English and the Japanese at the same time. So my
Oh.
Disney movies were really hard to
Oh.
understand. Yeah.
Okay. Okay,
Yeah.
so dual languages
Yeah. It would
at
be,
the
yeah.
same time.
Yeah. They just
Okay,
dubbed over the original movie with Japanese, which I thought was funny.
that's very interesting. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, what now with like DVDs and stuff like that, it's yeah, much more easier.
Yeah.
There's a maybe I'll ask you at the end, like some sort of game, with like Disney and like your castmates, maybe if you can compare who's more like which Disney character. Did
Oh.
did you ever see Once Upon a Studio? Is that what a Disney Plus
No.
thing? I think it's called Once Upon a Studio. So it's like at Disney and they're closing the offices, and as everyone's leaving, all the characters jump out of like the different paintings and pictures in the entire building.
Oh, that's cool.
And
No, I
yeah,
haven't seen
and
that.
I don't want to give any like details away. It's like 8 minutes. It's really, really cool. Like if you grew up on Disney, all the characters show up and they're basically gathering together outside of the building for like a group photo. And
Oh,
so it's
cute.
yeah, all Disney fans gotta check it out.
Okay, cute.
But
That's fun.
coming to the US, you as I understand it, you were into like film pretty early on. You didn't know exactly what that was, but that's something you wanted to do on screen.
Absolutely.
And you also credited Wizard of Oz as being one of those kind of inspirations.
Yeah, I watched Wizard of Oz and Pinocchio a lot as a kid.
Mm,
And also That's So Raven was
okay.
a show that I watched when I was a kid, and Raven Simone, very specifically, the way her character dresses up as different people was very inspiring to me. I was like, I want to do that. So it inspired me to do that in my own life. I would try to dress up and trick people into thinking I was not who I was. And I thought I was really good at it. But obviously they knew it was me. But
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think a lot of us are really excited to see what the future has for Kimmy. Learning, you've done Taekwondo, you've done circus, gymnast. What is it? Circus?
yeah, circus arts.
What did you do exactly?
I did that very briefly, but it's basically trapeze and acrobatics and anything you would see with stunts, but very tailored to a circus. Yeah.
Anything like really high off the ground?
Oh, they have tightrope. We did tightrope, but it was not that high off the ground.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you not only were the captain of the dance team in high school, but also hip hop dance at UW.
Yeah.
Yeah, which by the way, shout out to your alma mater for like having a really good football season.
Go UW, go Huskies.
Yeah, yeah,
Go
we're
Dogs.
Oregon down here, so we'll leave it at that. I mean, you saw what I was wearing when we were hanging out, the
Yeah.
Oregon Ducks hoodie. But yeah, talk about like just dancing. I mean, it sounds like you were very active actually. Not only just interested in theater. You did some theater really
Yeah.
young. Your parents did that. Can you just talk about like what made you want to be what was it about always being so busy? Like
That's a
and
good.
then like as opposed to like a bookworm or like something a little bit more pedestrian.
Yeah, I definitely was. I think I just had a lot of, ever since I was a kid, just had a lot of, I had a busy mind. And I think arts was always an outlet for me to quiet my mind. It kind of got me out of my own head. I struggled with mental health issues from a young age. So I think it was such a nice outlet for me, and also really healthy for me to just be active and be in my body. And I think dance was a great way to express myself. And whenever I needed to transmute sort of difficult feelings or trauma, I could do it through dance. And I felt like I was releasing it and becoming more myself. And I felt so confident when I would dance and be performing. And I think I chased after that because in my normal life, I didn't feel very confident. I think when I was just being, walking around, going to school, I always felt I was a little nerdy. I didn't feel like felt like I could be
Accept,
myself.
accepted
Yeah.
or yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
And I think that was more in middle school. In high school, I felt, I found friends, but in middle school, I had great friends, but I was definitely bullied. And I
Mm.
think that sort of put me in a place of self-doubt. And it made me think, oh, I don't know if I could actually do the acting thing for a long time. So I always wanted to act, but um, I had to seek out outlets to really let that energy out and find my confidence in performance. And I think it took me kind of working on my mental health to finally accept that I could do it.
Yeah, I mean that's awesome, and like a lot of people express their feelings in different ways, and
Yeah.
like I podcast because I love TV and film, and I love to hear how the cookie is made, or the what pulling back the curtain kind of deal, so that's kind of how I approach things, and it's my happy place, you know.
Yeah.
And
Same.
so, yeah, so you're just getting the opportunity to speak with people on screen. It's really cool and soothing and therapeutic,
Yeah.
quite honestly, speaking with people,
Oh,
you
that's
know?
amazing.
I
Yay.
mean, I mean, we hung out for like 2 hours at a coffee shop, and then we were like doing weird poses on the
I know,
sidewalk in
that was so
downtown.
fun.
It was a lot of fun.
It
It was a
was
lot of
so
fun.
fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was literally looking at the pictures and the live photos last night. I'm like, what are we doing?
Like,
You
what is
know?
life? Well, that's what I love about life. It's so random. And when you embrace it with a sort of childlike sense of whimsy, so much beautiful things can happen. It's such
I agree.
a, and then you really get to connect with people I never would have. I mean, I don't think we would have, had I not been an actor, had you not been like all of those things had to come together for us to connect at this moment. I think that's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, and we probably won't get too much into it if at all, but you were uh Maya 2.0,
Yeah,
so
yeah, yeah,
like there's a really big chance we never would have met.
exactly. Exactly.
So
Things happen and you never know. Yeah,
yeah,
expect the unexpected.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Now one thing I was that is kind of a blind spot for me. I mean, those other things I didn't know about the dancing and
Yeah,
the theater. Well, theater makes sense, but
yeah,
not everybody was in theater. But
sure.
now you shared like a like a feature. I'm not sure if that's what it's called, but like a song that you sang on.
Oh yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, I guess theater, you probably did some singing and dancing, especially like if you liked Wizard of Oz, Disney. So the singing, that all makes sense as well. Can you talk about that project?
Yeah, so I was featured on a song by Lamar Family Values, and they're really good friends of mine, and they make really cool music and based in Seattle. And I it's really casual for me singing and making music. I keep it really a hobby because I turned acting into sort of a business. I have certain outlets that I want to keep a hobby.
Hmm.
Uh, but yeah, I like to work with talented people. And it was just a song that they played the beat and I thought, oh, I could totally write something to this. And then it was really random. It was not planned. It was sort of, it just kind of came. And I think that's the funnest way is to spontaneously make stuff. So yeah,
I agree. I agree.
yeah, yeah,
It on the t kind of staying on topic of like movement, you're dancing and all that stuff.
yeah.
You also do JSL, Japanese Sign Language, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. I haven't done it in a while, so I'm a little
Yeah.
rusty, but I love sign language. I love the it's such a visual, beautiful language. I love the deaf community. I fell in love with sign language in college when I had a great deaf professor, and I just think it's such a beautiful visual language, and I love languages. So yeah, that's something I definitely want to get back into using more regularly because it's so beautiful also to communicate, be able to communicate with people that are of a different culture and live through a different modality.
I once interviewed an actor who did ASL, and he said it's a great uh kind of skill to have because if he doesn't act, he can always do some sort of translation at whatever events and
Ooh,
you
interpreting.
know yeah,
Yeah.
yes, yeah.
I was really thinking, had I not been an actor, would want to be an interpreter. So that's really interesting.
Yeah. So I
Yeah.
mean, I think that should be is probably more available than people think, but I think that's something people should consider. Kind of like having under your belt, just because it's so
Totally.
necessary. It's
Yeah.
like if they're teaching like second languages in school, why can't that? Maybe it is. I don't know. Is that not an option? In
Not in the schools that not until I went to college, but yeah, in high school that was not an option. And I don't think it's an option in a lot of school. I'm not
Yeah,
sure what the stats are, but yeah, I think it should be more readily accessible for people to learn. I
absolutely.
mean, it's so amazing.
Right. Like, I would imagine there are students who are hearing impaired, right?
Yeah. Yeah, they
So,
would appreciate that. Yeah.
right. Yeah. Is there a class or, something
Yeah,
where and yeah, it'd just be awesome to kind of see more kids kind of do that,
totally.
so, or just people
Totally.
in general. Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's kind of like just you've done so much. I mean, we didn't even like scratch the surface of like your you got really great comedic timing, from watching Obliterated.
Thank you. Yeah, I
But
love comedy. I love
yeah,
comedy.
well, you've done stand-up comedy too.
Yeah, I did stand up for a few years.
I mean, like, what haven't you done?
Oh well, I mean, if we want to get into that, I'm so bad with anything sports related.
Okay. I
with a
mean,
ball.
okay.
Like
Okay,
if
fair.
it's my body, I can do it. But
Got
like
it.
putting a ball somewhere, yeah, can't do that.
Got it. Now, with the stand-up comedy, what was there like anybody that inspired you in particular? Like what made you kind of like let me try this venue out?
Well, I think I've always loved comedy. I've always been really inspired by comedies of all kinds. Growing up, that was sort of a love language in our family, and I was raised on a lot of comedy, and that's also what I love about entertainment. Um, I loved dark comedy. I loved crazy comedy, like absurd, raunchy. I grew up with it all, and I always loved comedy writing too. So I did that ever since I was young, just sort of my own. And I did sketch comedy, and I just like to I liked comedy of all sorts. And I think I wanted to do stand up. I turned 21 and I was like, oh, I can finally go to the bars and do stand up. I could go to the open mics. And I don't know, I think it was I felt like the thought of doing stand up scared me, and so I knew that meant I had to do it because it was my fear year. I was trying to do things that scared me. And I signed up for a comedy class, and then it was like a stand-up comedy class, and then that sort of opened the door for me to I did that when I was 20, so I couldn't do the performance, and then I did it when I turned 21. I could finally go to the clubs and do stand-up because I'm not a big drinker actually, so that was kind of what would bring me out to the bars. And then I just worked on material, and then people would ask me to do some shows, and so I would just kind of do some casino shows in Washington. I'd do,
That
random
does well,
shows
doesn't
around.
it?
Yeah, yeah, it was that was a great crowd. Yeah, I did some paid shows, but I wasn't headlining. It wasn't like it was short sets. So I never did anything that was too extravagant. But I knew that it would help my acting, and I knew it would help my confidence and also help my writing. So yeah, I just like to keep myself stimulated, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there anybody that you really enjoy watching or listening now? Because I know like now they even put like whole sets on like Apple Music, for example, or Spotify. You can.
Yeah, yeah. There was a comedian I was just talking about, Shane Wang, and
Okay, yeah,
uh,
yeah. Oh my
yeah,
gosh.
I love his stand-up.
I just saw him and Ali Wong in Portland.
Oh my God,
He
you
o-
did?
he
Oh,
opened for her. Yeah.
that's such a good show. Yeah,
He's yeah, he's
he's
amazing.
so funny, so many. I
He's so
love him.
smart, right? He's
Yes,
really, really smart.
yeah, whip smart and a really unique, funny point of view. I mean, he was making me laugh about printers, and I just love. I don't know. I think a little quirky, fun. Yeah, so that's a recent stand-up that I've really enjoyed.
Yeah, yeah. He's pretty great. I wish there was more of his stuff out there, you
Me
know.
too.
Like
Me
I
too.
caught up, I'm like, what do I do now? You know, like what
Yeah,
is
I
life?
know. Like, we need more content.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, he's so good. Okay, so that's we can go on forever because
Yeah, we
like I
really
said,
could.
you've done so much. And I just continue to keep
Oh, thank you.
like, oh, this is the other thing that she does. So obliterated. You
Yes.
how did you catch wind of this and also can you talk about like booking that role?
Yeah, that was a whirlwind. I got the audition through my agent, who just submitted my information to the casting director. I got a request, did a self-tape, 3 scenes, did not think I was going to get it at all. So I thought this is so impossible for me to get. I'm just going to have fun. So I really went balls to the wall in the audition. One of the audition scenes was a whipped cream scene. So I did put whipped cream on myself, and I fully used
Oh,
props, and I did like I really leaned into it because I just didn't think it was likely at all that I would book it. And so then a week later I got a call back, which was my first callback, and did the callback. It was live over Zoom, and I showrunners were there, the big three, um, and casting director, and they watched the scenes again, gave me notes. I adjusted, and then we were done. I thought I went well, and then I got a screen test, which is basically they record the audition and send it to the studio, which is Sony, and then Sony narrows down who they like, and then based on that, they send it to the network, which was Netflix. So it was a several weeks, several week long process, and I mean, eventually I got it, but at first I didn't. And then um very last minute had to go Albuquerque and start shooting. I think I found out on a Saturday and I was there on the Monday. And yeah, complete whirlwind. Yeah.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Did you add the bit of awkwardness to that character? That wasn't called for, right?
Yeah. So I really wanted to, I mean, I guess the way that I saw Maya was um she's offbeat, but I don't think she thinks that she's weird. Like I don't think Maya thinks she's weird. I think she's just commits to being herself. That's something I really like about her is she's so earnest and so genuine. And every feeling she's feeling, she feels it all the way. And she doesn't lie about how she's feeling. She can't hide how she's feeling. And so I think the awkwardness she has is because her reality isn't matching up with the reality around her. So she sees things a certain way, but clearly there's social rules that she doesn't know and she's still figuring out. And I think that's where there's that tension, there's that awkwardness. But I think she thinks she's awkward, but I don't think she thinks she's as awkward as other people would think.
Right. Like she knows that she's just a little bit different, but
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know,
She's confident where she's confident, her work, her field. And she knows she still has stuff to learn socially. But I think I didn't want to play awkward too much. Just wanted to be someone who genuinely saw things a certain way. And then the audience um, can decide their judgment of her, if that makes sense.
it does. When you joined production, they were already filming, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So what was the reception like? And because I would imagine the other cast members, they've already kind of got to know each other a little bit, and here you are. What was that like?
Think I mean, they were so welcoming. I felt really blessed to have such an amazing cast because the cast was so loving, so welcoming. Um, and I think they really saw me as the character immediately. So that's all I heard all the time, where when they would just be like, "You are so Maya. You are exactly like." I thought that was really funny. So I leaned into it a little bit. Um, but the chemistry was there with the whole team, like immediately, and they were so kind to me.
You were the missing piece.
That's what they said, and I was really honored by that because I was around seasoned actors who I look up to. So them saying that was so encouraging. So I think I mean, if I had stepped on set and it was a bunch of divas and they're rude, my performance would suffer. So the fact that they were so kind and so giving and so fun to work with is, I mean, I really owe them like all my success. They really helped me through the whole process because I was a little baby. I didn't know what was going. I would ask them questions. I'm like, what does this mean? What do we do? So it felt like the character that I was, Maya, was reflective of kind of what I was going through too, of like, wow, just in awe of the badasses. So that I didn't have to push that hard for that.
Yeah, I think that all kind of works out because like Maya being the youngest recruited or the youngest recruit
Yeah,
at
youngest
MIT.
recruit in the NSA.
NSA, that's right.
Yeah,
She's just wearing an MIT shirt
yeah,
or
she
a
went to
hoodie.
MIT. Yeah,
That's right. Yeah,
yeah,
okay. I was mixing up the details because it's funny because I know it's a different universe, but I feel there's another show where a character went to MIT but was like a teenager, which kind of like I'm jumping ahead, but there's a scene in episode 4, I believe it is, where Maya says something like she makes a reference to like who's Dean Stockwell. I think it's
yeah.
something like that. Do you have any insight on that line, or and do you know who that is?
That was improv. So um Tommy, who plays Haggerty, every take he would say something different. So he would mumble, he's mumbling in his sleep. And so I would just react to whatever he was saying. So I genuinely do not know who Dean Stockwell is. So that was just kind of in the moment.
You mentioning how he says something different each time. Like I just immediately went to my mind thought about how he was on the raft in the desert and he said something like "I'm Brittany, bitch," or
Yeah, yeah.
the reason I asked because like I'm a huge fan of the original Quantum Leap. Like I'm
Oh,
still,
right. That's I had to look up. Dean Stockwell was
yeah,
in Quantum. Right.
yeah, and it was a really sad day in the fandom when he passed away. You know,
Mm,
before the reboot. You know,
yeah.
and there was a little tribute to his character, but his
Yeah.
character went to MIT with the lead character on Quantum Leap,
Oh,
if I'm not mistaken.
interesting.
Yeah, so I was wondering, I was like, oh, I just wonder if that's like some sort of like, you know,
Reference.
kind
No,
of
I
like
think
just
that's a coincidence.
yeah, yeah, I'm sure it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But that
yeah,
is, I didn't, that's a good connection.
yeah. I was just like, that's so. This is very
Yeah.
specific. Why
Interesting.
you suck? Well, yeah. Anyway, yeah, I love Quantum Leap. Anyway,
Yeah.
okay, so there's a where do I want to go from there? So, you know, since we're in the desert,
Yeah.
there's an I don't believe your character. No, your character doesn't interact with her, but Crazy Susan, played by Laurie Petty. Shout
Yes.
outs to Orange is the New Black because I know you love that show and you worked with Natasha Lyonne.
Yes. Wow. Good
I
memory.
Well, you know, I do my research, but
Oh. I mean,
just
I barely worked with Natasha Lyonne. She wouldn't know who I am, but I definitely remember.
yeah, she will now. I mean, Netflix, you know, or just a new black, but it's awesome because like kind of one of those things like it's all connected because she was part of the American Reunion, which was also written by John and Hayden, you
Yeah.
know, for those that didn't know. So it's kind of like oh, we're all kind of
Small
somewhat
industry.
connected.
Yeah.
But did you pick up on her name is Crazy Susan? And Laurie Petty's character from Orange is the New Black hung out with Crazy Eyes, whose real name was Susan on the show.
Oh, interesting. No, I didn't.
Yeah, it was
That's
just kind of,
funny. Yeah,
yeah. I was
little
just
link.
like, yeah, just I was just like, oh, I wonder if Laurie Petty picked up on that too. Like she's Crazy Susan, but Crazy Eyes was her best friend, whose
You are
character,
so good at finding patterns.
yeah.
You're
Oh,
really
thank
good at
you.
that. Yeah,
Thank you. I appreciate that. It's just, I don't know. I guess I
I'm
never.
impressed.
Well, thank you. Little flattered, thank you. Threw me off there, Kimmy. What are you doing? Um, all right, but did you get a chance to meet Laurie Petty? Is what I wanted to ask.
Very briefly. So we were on set at the same time. Our chair, you know how they have the actors' chairs. Our chairs were by each other, but I didn't want to bother her. I'm a very leave the actor alone. I said hi. Said I was a fan, but I think when you're working, I just try to leave actors alone. I don't want them to feel like I don't want them to feel uncomfortable or feel like they're being watched, especially if they're in the zone. So I didn't know what her method was. I didn't know what she needed. So I just introduced myself and left her alone. But yeah, I was really excited that she was on set.
Yeah, it's I love the that last season of Orange is the New Black because I just thought it was a perfect bookend and the
Yeah.
way it ended, you know, that's kind of what I'm kind of hoping for. Like the ending of Cobra Kai, you know, we get a chance to kind of see all the characters come back, even for a little bit, like, oh, you know, it was just a really breath of fresh air, like, oh, hey, that person's doing well, you know, kind of
Yeah,
thing. So
absolutely.
it was a really nice ending. Now again, in the desert
Yes.
the scorpion scene, you know, where Maya falls
Yeah.
into the pit of scorpions. I immediately think, oh, Indiana Jones with the pit of snakes. Um, I'm assuming those weren't real.
No, but we did shoot some real scorpions and then they sort of enhanced it with CGI. I was never in the pit with the scorpions. Um, but yeah, there were scorpion wranglers that they brought on set and got some individual shots of. So some of them are
And
real.
so they built that, right? Like somewhere. Yeah.
Yes. So we shot
Okay.
it both actually in the desert. So they actually did build that in the desert. And then there was a set that they built on a soundstage. So when they're down there in with me, I'm kind of framed um, straight on. That was all on a soundstage. But when you're looking down at me, some of that's soundstage, some of that's actual real desert. They did
Oh
a
wow.
very beautiful job seamlessly editing it.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah.
The big dildo, right?
Yeah.
The chem light.
Yeah.
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 Did it actually work like a real chem light? Where you actually have
Yeah.
really?
Yeah.
Did
They
they
had a
make
bunch
that?
on set. I don't know if they made it or if they ordered it, but there were a bunch on set and they just kept cracking them. Yeah.
Did you guys all grab one and just sword fight, you know, in between takes?
I wish. Should have.
You guys are professionals. You're
Yeah,
professionals.
we're pros, okay? We're
Yeah,
pros.
I totally get it. Um, Again, kind of coming in as kind of the newbie to the group,
Yeah,
and a lot were asked from the main cast, nudity and just everything, right? They throw everything at the
yeah.
wall. And you kind of talked about like one of the scenes that you self-taped was like the whipped cream.
Mhm.
Um, how did you talked about like confidence earlier and the dancing, like how were
Yeah.
you how did you prepare yourself for scenes like this?
It's a great question. I think mentally, I just made sure that I was comfortable with everything I was doing, and I was. And they were really good about that. There was an intimacy coordinator who made sure I was
I want to ask about
comfortable.
that.
Yeah,
Mhm.
she was great. I love her. And um, I think I just kind of reached a point in my own mental health where I felt sort of like, okay, well, this is self-acceptance, I think, of okay, this is my body, this is what it is. I'm not gonna, I have a history of eating disorders from a young age, and I have really healed from that. And I think with that, I've always sort of thought my body is really important and I'm connected to it, but also it is so temporary and is always changing. And beauty standards are so arbitrary and always changing. And I think I've sort of made peace with feeling like this is just who I am. This is what I'm going to look like. And that's okay. And I thought of the comedy in the scene mostly when I was coming on. I wanted to lean into that. And I think, yeah, that's a great question, though. I think it's an ongoing battle. I think with it coming out, it'll be a whole new feeling of, oh my gosh, a lot of people are going to see that. But there's a part of me that thinks, oh, well, we're all going to turn to dust one day. And it doesn't really matter. Like when you hyperfixate on how you look or, it's like, does it really matter? And I think I let it go because I was just so happy to be on set and be doing a fun scene and doing what I love. And yeah, working with them was just so fun that I didn't feel self-conscious. I felt really like we were all in the zone. We were making something. I felt really respected. I felt really like it was my body and my choice to do what I was doing.
Yeah, that's awesome. And first off, thank you for being so transparent and sharing, something so personal.
Yeah.
I hope, somebody listening, if there's anything that they could take from it, is just to, just some of the words that you shared.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
Christine McHugh, I believe, is the name of the intimacy coordinator.
Christine, yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
yeah, so yeah, I don't know if I said her last name correctly, but I did reach out. We'll see if I'll be get a chance to speak to her. I've never spoken with the intimacy coordinator, and I believe that role is new-ish.
Mhm.
Post me, Me Too, and all the Weinstein and all that.
Yeah.
But like, can you talk about like some of the scenes, you have the bus dream sequence, right?
Yeah.
And then you
Yeah.
have what was it, Big Willie's or what's that club?
Yeah. Big Willies.
Big Willie's. So can you talk about like some of those really explicit scenes and like the intimacy coordinator and just kind of how that all worked when you guys were filming?
Yeah. So the intimacy coordinator, before we would film, would go over, we would have a meeting on the phone or over Zoom, and she would just go over my nudity rider, which is the contract, and go over and make sure that I was comfortable with everything that was going to be planned to be shot. So everything that they planned to shoot had to be disclosed. So there was no surprises on set. So I had to approve everything and sign off on it. And so she would talk me through it, be like, are you comfortable with this? How much are you comfortable? And then we would show up to set. She would be there. And then she would basically just sort of be on the side, bring her little chair and watch the monitor and check in with me in between takes, make sure I'm comfortable. She also had a bunch of supplies too that are specific for nudity. So like nipple tape or, tape or things that can cover up or, um, so it was just kind of nice to have her there. She was sort of like a supportive figure. And most of the time, I feel like maybe she was kind of bored because there wasn't really much to do, like except like, yeah, good job. If you're comfortable, I'm here just in case. But I never needed to like basically she's there in case I start to feel uncomfortable and I need to talk to her. Then she would talk to the director. She's sort of the liaison, and that never really needed to be utilized. So I felt really comfortable, but it was nice to have her there.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. I mentioned it in our kind of like spoiler filled season recap, and just like this is the first project that I've covered where it had somebody with that type of role, and I think that's awesome because it allows, like you guys to be really comfortable and commit to what's being asked of you,
Yes.
rather than like kind of performing at like 90% because you're uncomfortable with a particular thing and may
Yeah,
not want to voice it kind of thing, So yeah,
absolutely.
I think that's really cool. Let's uh let's talk about the whipped cream scene. Like
Yeah.
did you were you already familiar with the Alley Larder or Varsity Blues?
I wasn't actually. I actually really had to look that up. So that was accurate too, Maya looking it up. I didn't know what that was. And but knowing how significant it was in the pop culture zeitgeist at the time, I felt a little nervous. So yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and for anybody that's wondering, I did ask Kimmy's permission to use that as who wore it best or
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah. Yeah. I was considering like should I throw in that little disclaimer in the corner somewhere to like, hey, I asked
I
Kimmy's
got consent.
permission. But like, I mean, my account's still relatively new. Nobody's really following me, but mostly like cast members and their friends and family, so
Yeah.
shout out to the friends and family for the support of all you guys. I love seeing it.
Oh yeah.
I just got a call from Allison's mom like the other day.
Oh
She
yeah.
she went and started liking like everything that like had Allison in it. I thought it was really awesome.
It's
You know,
awesome.
let's see. Can you talk about one when you got the role? Did you immediately have to learn the lyrics to Doja Cat's song?
Yes.
I
Yeah.
think you told
Like
on yourself a little bit. You shared a post and you actually had a screenshot of your Spotify with that song on it by something that said Kimmy or
yes,
maybe it
Maya.
said Maya.
Yeah, yeah, or tech check. I don't remember, but
Yeah, yeah, maybe that's
yes.
what tech check. Yeah.
Yes, I did have to learn that, which was so fun. That's what I love about acting is you get really weird, fun, random homework, like learn these lyrics. So that was really fun. But yeah, I had to learn that that week that I came.
Was that challenging at all?
No, I love singing along to songs and I love rapping along to songs. So it was more just fun.
Yeah. Who's like who is somebody that you like to perform that somebody would be people would be surprised like, well, really? Like an Eminem.
Oh,
You do some Eminem stuff?
I could if we're at karaoke, I could pull out some Eminem.
Yeah.
I could pull out some. That's a good question. Maybe I don't know if anyone would be surprised by, but I really like Nicki Minaj.
Okay. I love Nikki.
No, I love Nicki Minaj. So I would pull out some, Nicki Min. What's that monster verse?
Yeah.
Iconic
Yeah.
verse. Yeah.
Yeah, I like the early Nicki. I can't say that I'm up to date on a lot of that stuff. I'm still discovering like new female rappers, like Big
Yeah.
Lotto. Like I
Yeah.
just
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't know her by name, but I knew her big singles from like earlier this year. And like one
Yeah.
day I just decided to throw on like just some playlist on YouTube and it was like a bunch of like just like top 40 like hip hop songs. And she came up, I'm like, oh, who's this? And it was like
Yeah.
featuring Cardi B. I'm like, I like this artist. Um, all right, so Big Willies. What
Mhm.
can you share about like filming? I don't know how many days you guys filmed that scene in episode 2, but
It's
there's
a
a
few
lot going
days.
on. I just
Yeah.
I love Maya and Jeremy's conversation because it's not what you would expect, because he's like I doing her while he's on stage, right? And
Yeah.
then you guys have like this. I don't know if you want to call it sentimental, but you guys have like kind of a heart to heart.
Yeah.
It's not something that you would have expected from like a male dancer. Like he probably wanted more money or get in her pants, that kind of thing. But it's actually a really nice conversation.
It was really wholesome, and I really like that the writers took it that direction because I do think Maya needed a shoulder to cry on, and he was a really funny and unexpected shoulder to cry on. And Jeremy, that character and the actor who played him, I thought that Maya and Jeremy actually had really good chemistry, and I thought that was really cute. Even though he is kind of trying to play her at the beginning, get money from her, I thought that was nice for Maya. And yeah, we shot there for a few days, and man, shout out to the male strippers because they had to, you know, they had a
Helicopter.
they had a helicopter. I mean, that's yeah, I shout out to them because that's not easy. Yeah,
There's
but
a
it
real
was really
MVP.
fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Hey, that's what they do, and they're comfortable, and Christine's on set, so if they're uncomfortable, they can talk to her too.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
yeah, I just love how Maya shares like a lot of moments. This wasn't, I guess it's not unwholesome, but like she has the moment with Ava in the very first episode, to kind of
Yeah,
build the confidence. Can you
yeah,
talk about like maybe some of your those moments like Maya and Ava, then you had like Maya and
yeah,
Paul in episode
yeah.
4, I
A
believe.
five.
5, okay, yeah.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
but just some of those scenes, so you guys like just
yeah.
sit down and talk.
Totally. Yeah. So when we shot the first episode where I'm connecting with Ava, Shelley's character, we had shot that sort of actually, I think out of order. So we shot that a little bit later, and that scene for me was really me actually admiring Shelley. So I love Shelley. I have a huge crush on Shelley. She's so cool, and I'm so impressed by her. And I think I could really lean into that with Maya because Maya is so impressed by Ava, such a badass. And so when we were doing that scene, John and Hayden, who were directing that episode, really let us improv and just kind of feel the space and just be natural. So we have just a bunch of takes of us just talking and bonding, and um yeah, it was a really fun scene, and I think Shelley specifically fought for that scene um to be in there and to be longer, so that we could really see that admiration, mutual admiration between each other, so that when it falls out, you kind of know, oh, she really looked up to her.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think that's the right call because I think when the tension builds, like it's a little bit more earned because like
yeah, yeah,
Maya was really, like
yeah,
they were becoming like friends. Like they were kind of blurring the lines of like, you're my, boss or whatever. And like this is the moment that they were really connecting on a like a friendly level. So
yes, exactly,
yeah,
yeah. So I'm so glad that Shelley fought for that to be a prominent part of the episode. Yeah.
yeah. What about the camel in that scene? Did Skittles,
Skittles.
yeah.
Yeah, Skittles. Love Skittles. We love Skittles. Round of applause for Skittles. I unfortunately didn't really get to work with Skittles. I'm like not in any scenes with Skittles, but I would see Skittles around, and I was always very excited.
He's just checking in on each room, like what you guys are doing in
Yeah,
here,
yeah.
kind of.
There was one time where he just pooped in the middle of the hallway, so they had to clean up. And I think Skittles also peed at one point. So yeah, it was a really it's kind of like a zoo.
I bet. You mentioned fecal matter,
Yeah,
you have a
yeah,
scene with Haggerty. Maya has a scene with Haggerty
yeah. At
where
the
she has to clean
fountain.
his butt.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming that was Tommy on your lap. And can you talk
Yes, that was
about
actually
filming?
Tommy. That
Oh
was
yeah,
Tommy,
yeah.
not a butt double. There wasn't any fecal matter in the show, like when we were shooting. So that was added later.
Oh, was it just his
Yeah.
bare butt?
Yeah.
That's amazing. It looked,
Right? The
yeah.
post-production team is so good on the show. They're so good. Yeah. A lot of the stuff they've made magic. Yeah.
So you had to pantomime cleaning his butt at a fountain.
Yes.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
movie magic. See, this
It
this is
is.
why I
It
like.
is.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
So I got a chance to talk to Joel about his episodes,
Yeah. Yeah.
including episode 6, where that takes place, right? Yeah.
Episode 3 is where that takes place.
Oh, see, I
Yeah.
know it's one of his episodes, right?
Yes. Yes.
Which for those that I'm sure his is going to come out after your interview, but he shares how there's a sequence when McKnight and Ava is like running around and they're looking and they go into like a specific room where things are happening. Joel was talking about how he had to do like kind of do some research and now he's getting like all these, like ad ads or whatever or
Hi, Joel.
suggestions. I was like, that's funny, that's the
That's a
things
crazy
the
scene.
research you guys have to do for this stuff.
Yeah,
But
I learned from that scene for sure. Some new
yeah,
stuff.
a lot going on. But he mentioned I don't know if this was the very specific thing, but he mentioned how like like you do a lot of your takes, like you don't have to do a lot of retakes basically. And like I know you're also like mindful of like continuity and like the editing, in your
Yeah.
performance as well.
Yeah.
Can you tell me about like I kind of forget what Joelle said, but like the moment where Maya has to like stop the bad guys, but she's
Yes.
unarmed, and
Yes.
what you do physically, every time I see it, I crack up because it's so funny. It's so
That's so,
funny because the
so
scene's
cute.
not meant to be. You're about to get shot. Yeah, you get shot.
Yeah.
No?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
About
Yeah.
to get. Yeah. Yeah.
But no, no, you just witnessed something because I'm mixing up again. I'm mixing
Yeah.
things up. But
He's drawing his gun and
yeah,
then
but
yeah.
like the whole stop, like a school cross guard, or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. That scene was I was really looking forward to shooting that scene because that just always made me laugh. And I credit the writers because that was it was in their writing that she
That was
comes
on
out,
paper.
she stops. Yeah. So shout out to the writers because they were the inception of that idea, and then I just added some of my own physicality to it. Yeah.
Yeah. So you mentioned the writers. Can you think of like some moments that was scripted, but then you guys went maybe not a completely different direction, but just went with something else. That just like, oh, that's better than what we had written, kind of
Ooh,
thing.
that's kind of hard. We did a lot. What I loved about this project was they let us improv a lot.
Mm,
And if it worked, and we would keep using it. If it didn't work, they would let us know, and then we just try something new, or we just stick to the script. I would say there's a scene that originally, so when I'm looking at McKnight and in episode one, and um, I say me, Paul gets all drenched, and I say me too, and I'm looking at McKnight, and it was originally I think gonna cut there, but then I just had the idea to walk away and bump into the wall, and I thought it would be funny if she apologized to the wall. And so I proposed that to John. I was like, "Oh, can I do something?" And he was like, "I could probably cut it, but you can if you want." And I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna try something." And so I did that, and then they're like, "Oh, that's great, do it again." And so I think throughout shooting there would be little moments like that where I think each of us have a lot of improv. Like I couldn't even tell you all of the improv because I wasn't there all the time, but they really let us bring ideas to the table. That's why they're such great directors, such great collaborators, because they really trusted us, and kind of let us play with the characters.
yeah. No, and this is something that they say about their characters all the time. Obliterator or Cobra Kai is like each character is like the story of their own, or the hero of their own story, right? So
Yeah,
like
yeah.
everybody gets something to do. Like when we first met, I told you I was like, man, I feel Gomez was like underused, but then upon my rewatch, I go, no, no, she got some significant moments. I just forgot them because those scenes, I'm not watching or those
Yeah, yeah,
episodes
yeah.
because I'm preparing like interviews like Joel. I kept on rewatching his episodes over and over and over, and that's
Totally.
Gomez isn't really quite in there like she
Yeah,
is
yeah,
in the
yeah.
ones I was skipping. But
Right, right.
yeah, and one thing I've learned that they always go with like best idea wins or like funny joke. So
Totally.
I love that
Love that.
how they're open to that. So I
Yeah.
don't did that make it to the scene? I forget. That
Yeah,
did
yeah, it did.
okay.
And that's always exciting when you see something you improv get into the final cut. You're like, oh yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
I I love that little touch just because it's like she's just so like inner feels, it's just like a little
Yeah, totally.
flustered and just like oh, sorry,
Oh, sorry,
it's
sorry.
just
Yeah, and even
yeah,
at the
yeah,
beginning of the episode when she kind of messes up and thinks that the bomb is near, she apologizes, and so I thought it really does, it leans into the character, that she's, oh, I'm sorry, sorry.
yeah, yeah. No, I really really like that character. I think again, like after the show drops, I can't even imagine what the like reception will be. All the follows and like all the questions and
Yeah, I'm
how
nervous.
overwhelming. Are you ready? Are you ready for the
Oh,
overwhelming like?
I don't think so. I'm really overwhelmed and I think stressed. I think I struggle with anticipation, and I also struggle with being like perceived, or it's I don't know why I became an actor because that's the most perceived job, but it's something that I'm still getting used to. Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
scared. I'm really
yeah.
nervous, but excited. but excited.
I didn't ask this, like this would have been a great question earlier, but did you have any like you already kind of knew at an early age that that's what you wanted to do? Did you have any like inspirations in terms of like actors?
Oh, I mean, there are so many performances. I wouldn't narrow it down to just one actor or a few actors. There's just a lot of performances I really love. But yeah, I mean, that's a good question. I really this is one that's popping in my head for some reason. I really like Steve Buscemi.
Okay,
I
I love
really
Steve
like Steve
Buscemi.
Buscemi. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
one that's just popping in my head. There's so many actors I love though, but I love him in The Big Lebowski and Fargo, in the Coen Brothers projects. He's just got a great look, great vibe, interesting. I like quirky look and um kind
What
of
about
offbeat.
the one gentleman with the penis torture tool? You
Oh
know,
yeah,
he's
yeah, Aaron.
yeah, right. Eren.
Tobias Jelinek, I think is who
You would know
plays
better
him.
than me.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Um,
We only had that one scene in episode 3, yeah, but yes, great, great look. I love actors with an interesting look.
he stands out. Like,
Exactly. Yeah,
you know,
it's terrifying. He was
I
terrifying
I
in
don't
the
know if I'd
show.
want to stand in line next to him like anywhere after watching,
But
Obliterated.
he's really nice, so
Oh, I would hope so.
that shows he's very talented.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I'm kind of like my mind's going everywhere in terms of like scenes. What were some of your favorite sequences to film?
I think one of my favorite was with Paul, played by Eugene, in episode 5 when he's hyping me up after we wrestled with the gun and shot the computer. I think that was one of I wasn't expecting, but I think that's one of my favorites because Eugene was so present and we were really connected and it felt like the necessary pump up to her, Maya, doing what she does at the end of episode 5. But yeah, that was a scene that I look back on and I it was really fun because we were so it was really intense and really
It really,
connected.
yeah, it really was. I like these moments. That's why I asked you about like kind of sharing like the moments with like Maya and Ava. Paul,
Yeah.
I see. Like I've been kind of like speaking with a few of you guys. So I don't want to mix up the names, but like Paul and
Yeah.
Maya.
Yeah.
But I like those because like you guys are a team and we're kind of seeing it. And I think like I think Maya being like the tech girl, like this is her moment to kind of maybe not even like feel part of the team, but also feel like being part of the team because they're getting input and they're helping one another. And I think she's a very good listener and is able to kind of take things that all the advice that people's kind of given her as well, and also reciprocate that when necessary.
True.
So I think
Yes.
that's really cool. What
Yeah.
did you was there any sequences that you found challenging? Maybe like the dream sequence on the bus,
Oh,
did
yeah.
not expect
Yeah.
that one.
I would say, right. A dream sequence was another one that was really fun to shoot. That one was, I think, not necessarily challenging because Nick was such a great scene partner. That one I have to add to my list of favorite scenes to shoot too, because it was so out there, and I was excited for people to see Maya in different light. And I was also excited to work with Nick because I hadn't had really a one-on-one scene with Nick. Um, so it was a great chance for people to see Maya as sort of sexy, but also it's comedic. So that was really really fun, and Nick and I leaned into the comedy of it the whole time, and he was great. But I would say challenging scene. I think the scenes when I'm away from everyone um, and kind of just with a screen um, were the most challenging acting wise, which I think maybe would be surprising to people. It's so much easier to act with people in the room. It's a lot more. It takes a lot more concentration, a lot more prep work to act when I'm looking at a screen and there's nothing on the screen. So I would say most challenging would probably be the finale episode when I have the 3 monitors and I have to kind of transition between them and be talking to people, but I'm actually not looking at anything or talking to anyone. I think that was probably the most challenging.
Oh yeah, yeah. Because now you have to. Well, is there somebody kind of like there with you all, I would imagine reading the lines back so you can kind of
Yeah.
interact.
Yeah, so it was either the script supervisor or the assistant director, the AD, who would be off to the side reading the other lines, kind of yelling them out loud to me.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
love that finale. Just and then like Trunk's moment as well.
Yeah,
Just
that's such a great scene.
so earned. It is
Yeah.
so earned,
So earned. Yeah.
so earned throughout the whole fucking season.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah,
give the man
absolutely.
something to eat.
Like, come
Give him,
on, feed this guy.
give him
Yeah.
something. I told Terrence that my favorite moment is probably like when he was talking to that empty box of donuts. Just
Yeah, that's so funny.
yeah, oh my God, it's just yeah, he's hilarious. And then
Oh,
like
I love
and
Terrence. He's so funny.
you see it in like one of the sequences that in the clips that have been shared where him and McKnight are like arguing and he's doing like the physical like stomping and like
Yeah.
yeah,
I'm starving. I know.
yeah,
T is
it's
so
great.
funny. He was that energy he brought to set. This gregarious, funny, witty, really an attractive energy. I love Terrence, and everyone falls in love with Terrence, and I think everyone's gonna fall in love with Trunk. Yeah, exactly. Like you. Like
I love Trunk.
me
I love
too.
Trunk.
I love.
Hey, he's hung like a trunk, so what's not to love? What's not? Hey,
Comment. No
we
comment.
we've all seen it by now. Anyway, okay. So, all right. So, I guess we'll end it with one last thing related to the filming of Obliterated. Uh,
Yeah.
just because so many things are going on the show, like literally so many things. Can you think of a moment during filming where you guys just couldn't like maybe stop cracking up during a take, or just like just because of whatever absurdity was going on at the moment?
Think that happened a lot. Um, that was there was a scene that actually got cut, I think for time, that I, for some reason, could not stop laughing. Um, I think we were all just couldn't stop laughing. It was on a party bus, and it was a scene where someone we get pulled over by a cop, and I think they had to cut it for time.
For real
Um,
life, or this is the film. This is part
this
of
is
the
filming. This is part of
ah.
the filming. So we get pulled over. And we're all like clearly we're driving under the like the joke is like we're so clearly intoxicated and we're all kind of fighting still. I just remember we couldn't we were just cracking up. I think maybe Shelly wasn't cracking up, but I think she was in the zone. But I think like I remember Allison and Terrence were laughing and I was laughing that they were laughing and it was just like we just could not get that take. It was really funny.
Yeah. Oh, maybe it'll end up on a bloopers. You know.
Maybe. I hope so. I hope
Yeah.
so.
I would
Yeah.
love to see that. Just
I want to see bloopers too.
there's so
Yeah.
much, just so much going on. Like I can
Yeah.
only imagine
Yeah.
all this,
Oh, yeah.
all this stuff, all this stuff. Yeah. Just because, like like we've seen some of the bloopers from like Cobra Kai, and like that's a completely different show tonally, and
Yeah. Right.
other things. And
Yeah.
so like just from the props and the dialogue and whatever is being on screen is just like I can't imagine. I don't know if I'd be able to get through any takes. That's why I'm not an actor. And I host a podcast. So, but Kimmy, thank you so much for giving me your time.
Of course.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what the fan reception is like because I think like the two that stand out for me, like on my first watch, I was like, damn, like Maya, like I really like her, like her growth and like all the trunk stuff is just really great. You know, um,
Awesome.
the jury's still out if he's working with Gaga. I really want to know.
Hopefully we see
Yeah,
season
hopefully
two.
we'll see indeed.
Hopefully.
If you welcome the interactions, where can people find more of your stuff?
Yeah.
Or social media.
Yeah. You can follow me on Instagram. I'll post any updates on there at Kimi Rutledge, KIMI RUTLEDGE. Yeah, that's the main one I use. So
Okay.
yeah.
For me, if anybody wants to follow what I do or maybe get updates on interviews, episodes, things that we do at Obliterated Companion, that's exactly what the handle is on Instagram, Obliterated Companion. If X or Twitter is your thing, I'm also at Obliterated Pod. I didn't think about that. But Companion Network is another account on Instagram that you can follow where I share all the things that I do on my other podcast, Twisted Metal, Cobra Kai, movies, one-offs, whatever. So that's gonna do it. I want to thank everybody. Well, maybe the new people. Thank you guys for finding Obliterated Companions, what I should say. And hopefully you guys subscribe on any listening platform, podcast of your choice. The YouTube channel is Companion Network. Hopefully I changed it by now. And yeah, subscribe to that so that way you guys can get all the updates and upcoming interviews. Thank you for listening and catch you next time.